Welcome, future masters. I have a game for you today that's kind of wild. So let's go and get after it. So my opponent plays a d-pawn opening. I counter with the legendary Dutch defense. So we play a main line. Bishop to b4. Just real simple stuff. Get your kingside pieces out. Castle for black. And then I want to play bishop to b7 and restrict e4 as much as possible. So I hit him with the check. It doesn't really matter whether I play knight e4 or not. I can't really win anything there. So we just get a slight, pawn structure advantage. It's very minor, but it requires white to play accurately. And if he's not accurate, well, bad things could happen. So black has completed his main goal. Got the kingside pieces out, set up my pieces with bishop to b7, a cobra as my father would say. So he castles. Castling is good. Knight to e4 is also good because it just threatens, again, it forces him to play accurately, threatening knight takes c3. This guy's a wacko. So what he did, this is the idea behind knight to e5 is something that I know already. This was something that I've known from experience. So this is experience versus calculation. The direct calculation is queen h5 check because this f-pawn weakness here with this knight on the 5th rank, queen to h5 check, is almost always a win. So I see this coming 10,000 miles away because of my experience factor. That means castle, don't be greedy. King safety, king safety, king safety are the three most important things in chess. It's so good I say it 3 times. So you see, knight takes c3 was a mistake for black, so I don't play that. I'm not letting him take that. Queen h5 check business is devastating, and it's not happening on my watch. So he goes ahead, queen c2, good move. He played some, good moves. Knight e5, to me, is a little crazy because he's really not going to get anything out of it. It's a cheap shot move. And, please, dude, that cheap shot trash doesn't work on me. Get out of my face. We do not want to let knights live on e5 if we can help it. You're asking for trouble. So we want to remove the troublesome knight. And then as he's a cheap shot player. And the reason I say that is because he played a cheap shot player's move. And I've never seen anyone play this before. And so I was thinking about it. I was like, well, what is this? My dad's rule. What's he trying to do to me? I'm like, okay, if I take his knight, if I play pawn takes knight, he plays pawn takes knight, I play pawn takes pawn, and then I thought, well, he played bishop to e2, but he would just take it. Bishop takes e4. So let me show you. If I do this, he does this, I do this, he could take check or not, it doesn't really matter, but he could take this pawn one way or the other, okay? This is nothing spectacular. Yeah. Okay, this is not winning anything. I'm not getting a pawn. I'm not getting position. I'm doing nothing but making a mass exchange like a dummy. We don't make exchanges willy-nilly. So, okay, he goes back to here. So I thought, okay, knight captures c3, desperado type of attack. He would just, he could move his knight away. He could take my queen takes knight and then pawn takes knight, pawn takes pawn. Again, I have nothing. Or he could just move his knight away, and then I saw, well, he can't move his knight. So his knight can't move. So, I just moved my knight. What happens if I play knight to f6? What happens then, Bobby Fischer? Bobby Fischer had no response. Now, knight to g5 is terrible because he has e4 unleashing an attack. It's not, let's not get crazy. Knight to f6 is the solid retreat. His knight is now trapped, and I'm going to take it. There's nothing he can do about it. He's going to try and figure out a way. The least damaging way was bishop takes f5. So I took the bishop. He cannot play queen takes f5, which means, of course, he can play it. It just costs him a knight. So right now he's lost a bishop. Well, because I traded a bishop for a knight, he's down one knight at this moment. Okay, so he's got to move this knight out of dodge. So he does, blocking his own whatever. I'm like, fine, let me get development. Knight b d7. King safety, development helps your king safety and gives you, defensive options. So, good move. e5 doesn't really do much. He's got a cheap shot idea that doesn't really work. Again, he's a cheap shot player. We've already established that. This is his third cheap shot move idea. It's really so lame. I didn't even have to think about it. It didn't even come up on my radar of my spidey senses. So he wants to play knight f4, knight e6. I'm like, whatever, dude. Oh, queen e5. He plays knight e6. Whoop-de-doo. Rook f gets out of dodge, goes to guard c7. And I'm going to play simply knight to c5. This is the advantage of having that pawn structure from knight, bishop takes c3. Knight c5 prevents him from stopping me. This is a worthless move. It was a cheap shot player's move. I saw his cheap shot idea. It's not the first time I played Dutch defense, stupid. But he doesn't know. I'm like, oh, e5. Well, what do you want, a medal? Queen to e4. You have nothing. He really can't trade queens with me because he's already lost a piece. And I'm going to kick his butt out of e6 summarily. So he's like, okay, now, hey, Magnus Carlsen, how's it feel, baby? So, knight c5. I told you, I'm going to kick that knight out of that square. So his whole cheap shot idea is just evaporating. It's just evaporating because he just made bad moves and he was dead lost. He'd had nothing to lose by playing cheap shot chess at that point. He's dead lost against any player with any skill, which I have skill. So he's making the best out of a bad situation. He could have just resigned. Whatever. So what did he do? Oh, I took the knight. He goes rook to f3. He's trying to generate counterplay on the g file. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Hey, how about rook to e8? Rook to g3. Hey, how about developing my pieces and defending at the same time? Rook e7. That guards g7 against any kind of craziness and allows me to triple my pieces on the e file if I need to. Well, no, I'm going to make a cheap shot threat. a4. Wow. Now, you don't have to use my dad's rule to wonder what's going to happen if he plays a5 and then a takes b6. It's going to be c takes b6. You got nothing. So he's making a nothing threat on the wing. The classic response is to make a counter threat in the center. That counter threat is this beautiful move. Uh-oh. C4 is mine now, buddy. But again, he had a dead loss position, so he tried to manufacture some cheap shot threats. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I can't handle the pressure. It's a possibility, right? A5, I'm going to kick your butt. No, you're not, dude. It's, the problem he has is that every threat he's made, I have more than just squashed it. Bishop captures c4. Whoops. Now you have to retreat yet again. Queen to f2 is probably what he's going to play. Queen d2 gets in front of his bishop. His bishop is doing a great job of holding e3. But I am going to shove a knight on this square eventually, because this is going to be awesome. So, yes, here, I even missed this move. I missed the move that I could have played because I was playing this positionally. I wasn't trying to, win material. I can just play queen or bishop takes on d5. But I did not play that move. I played queen to d3. I was threatening going in positionally queen to d1 and just ending his life. Okay, queen d1 check. That's mate. That's mating. I'm going to checkmate him. So queen d3 is a very good move. I could have taken the pawn. Whatever. They're both good moves. That's the thing. But it's just funny. I'm looking at this now, and I just played this game like 10, 15 minutes ago. I should have seen, queen d3 is an awesome move to me. And it's just funny how queen takes pawn never even on d5 never even came into my radar. Oh, well, that's fine. A takes b6. Well, c takes b6 was what I was planning all the time anyway. No problems. He has nothing. His dark square bishop is a super pawn sitting on c1. Look at that bishop. It has no moves at all that are any good. Bishop d2 does nothing really. Bishop b2, that does nothing really. He's got nothing. He's got a super pawn sitting on c1. Good idea to get his king away from this back rank check idea that I was threatening with queen to d3. So I'm cool, but guess what? He's got another problem, which you guys probably already saw. All right, I waited long enough. You've probably already seen it. Let me lay it on him. Bam. It's pretty basic stuff. I mean, I already told you I was going to go knight to e4, not to win the exchange necessarily. That knight is just a super piece on that square. His bishop is just the tallest pawn in town. So, where do we go here? What the heck happened? Did I lose my connection? I don't think so, buddy. I guess he resigned. Oh yeah, he resigned in this position. Knight to e4 was just devastating. It was interesting. He made, let's go back and look at all this again real quick like. He made several threats. Whoops, wrong way. That's a cheap shot threat. Whoops. Correct, my stupid mouse moved. So what happened to him is that knight e5 is a cheap shot threat. And the problem you have when you make moves like knight to e5 as a cheap shot player, the worst thing that can happen to you is that it works once. because then you become an addict. You're like a crack addict. He's playing crack chess, knight e5, hoping for the free victory. And what happened was the sequence of moves here with his crack addiction, cheap shot, d6, just go back to f3, stupid. See, knight to e5 is not a good move. The smartest thing is to realize, you know what, that move was less than the best. So perhaps I should reroute my knight, and fortunately the position is semi closed, and black is not positioned to just like roll you, off the board from a substandard move. It's not terrible. It's just not really useful. It's not a really useful move. So it's like, okay, whatever. Oops, wrong direction, Debbie. Crud again. So, but it did take, I spent 30 or 40 seconds realizing that I win a piece here, and it's like, well, at that point, goodbye, Charlie. Okay, here's one of the decisions. Pawn takes knight or pawn takes bishop. For me, it was literally this. If I take his knight, bishop takes e6 check. Not today. Give me the bishop. The white square bishop, traditionally, in this kind of opening, is more valuable to white than the knight. So it gets gone because it's a traditionally strong attacker, and that the knight's going to have to run away, and it also saves a pawn. So it was numerous things, all of which were just better for me to do them that way. Okay, this is just, it blocks my white square bishop, but really wasn't doing anything anyway. He probably would have been better off taking, instead of playing d5, maybe trying to play, well, he can still play e4. Yeah, that's getting less likely. Queen e7 helps to prevent e4. If he was going to get anywhere, rook e8, rook a to e8 was also going to stop it. Would you like to trade? You don't. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. And that's my first attacker on c4. The point is, if he took my queen, knight takes queen, it's not good. Okay, he's losing. Hey, get your knight out of the way, dummy. D pawn takes is just more solid. Otherwise, I'm opening up the B file for his rook, and I thought that this formation was more solid. I'm already a piece ahead, so I want to stay ultra solid and maximize the value of my bonus free bishop, or free knight, sorry. He comes up to try and make a threat. It's fairly obvious he's going to g3, so I said, I'm going to go rook e8, rook e7. It's not a threat. It's not a surprise at all. So every threat he makes, I have a response for because I'm anticipating that these are coming for the most part, or that they weren't really a threat that was warranting any real concern. Like I said, he made a wing attack move with a4, not realizing bishop to a6 was winning a pawn. I mean, not a super great deal, but it is kind of like letting you know that you're toast. Goodbye. Threatening a checkmate. Also threatening to trade queens. So, let me see, 2, 4, 6, 7. He's got 7 pawns, 3. And we're even on pawns. So I'm just a knight ahead, dude. You have nothing. He played a bad attacking idea, following it up with an even worse cheap shot threat that was simply
beaten. I mean, this guy was 1,800 something plus. He should have known better than to play this kind of cheap shot garbage. Should have, but didn't. So back when I took, remember when I took D takes C5, this was what I was, expecting that he would, if he tried to run the pawn, which is pretty common, try to run the A pawn. This was the formation that I was looking to get, and I saw that this formation is really solid for black because he just has nothing to exploit. His D pawn is worthless. I don't worry about that at all. So, pretty good. That's one of the smartest moves he made, but it's already too late. And it's game over. But, pretty interesting. I just wanted to show you that. So what happens when people play crazy attacks against you or against me or whatever, so you can see one. But the guy, he was playing a cheap shot attack. Another cheap shot F3 move. Don't be single-minded is what he was. He was single-minded. And that was a game in 3 minutes. So it happens. But I spent probably 40 seconds looking before I realized that, the whole sequence of I was going to win this piece. And he was going to have really basically nothing. He really had no legitimate threats. That 96 was a temporary, inconvenience. So, hope you enjoyed this game. I did. So like the video, tell your friends. Maybe they'll enjoy it, learn something from it. These kind of games are useful. You just don't get these that often, these crazy cheap shot games. So, hey, thanks for watching the video. Spread the word. Tell your friends. Hopefully they'll enjoy it. It'll help make you strong, make them strong, whatever. And when strong players play each other, they get stronger. So you guys take it easy, and I'll see you later. Just over 22 and a half minutes.